Should be joining us any moment. There he is, the great man, Matthew Lloyd. Welcome to your call.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, looking forward to chatting through this. As it's probably one of the games I get asked about the most, to be honest.
And when people do that, what are they? What are the first things that come to your mind?
Some of the things is firstly, how did you do it? To be honest, and I tell the story about we were shell shocked at quarter time, and I'll never forget seeing Sheedy just walking down the MCG race, and he was ready to absolutely give it to us. Pretty much conceding around 13 goals in the first quarter, and I'll never forget James Hurd saying to him, "Can I speak to them first?" And Hurdy said, "No, we're not going to get this lead back anytime soon, but let's try and halve it. Let's try and get it from 50 odd down to 25 at half time. Let's set, and we'll get it to 15 points by three-quarter time. Let's take it from there." So it's amazing how he changed the whole dynamics with his address to us at quarter time.
So I guess the idea was just sort of just chip away and see how you go, and then once you get a sniff, just go for broke.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He just tried to shorten the goals a little bit, because at that stage we thought we're gone here. It's just about trying to get some, what's the word, try and get some respect out of the scoreboard, really. And but just having that little goal to get to was just a bit of genius from James. Because I didn't remember too many addresses from a coach or a captain, but that's one I've never forgotten.
So was that at quarter time or three-quarter time? Because both those at quarter time.
Quarter time.
Because you had massive comebacks in, I think it was the second and fourth quarter. First and third, well, first was a blowout, obviously, but then the third quarter was pretty much even goal scoring, and you guys sort of ran away with it. Before the game, what was the mentality? You'd had sort of the edge on the Roos the last few times you'd met. There was a qualifying final the year before, which you obviously smashed them, and then I think round one you won as well. So coming into the game, were you thinking we've already got them, or what was the sort of mindset coming into that game?
Yeah, I'd probably take it for granted at the time, but we'd won 37 of 40 games of our last 40 games. So we won 24 of 25 in the year 2000, and then we were fifth, I think 13 wins and 2 losses going into this game. So it was probably a bit of an issue for us in that we believed, we were that confident in our ability all across the field that we could win from anywhere. And we suddenly got into some bad habits where we would, we'd some play a quarter or two and we still knew we were good enough to win the game. And just on this day, we got that far behind. We thought, well, this one's probably gone. But we played breathtaking footy in that second quarter and found a way to get back in the game.
Absolutely, because and for North, I think it was a crucial game for them in terms of finals, getting to the finals series. So obviously they're coming into it pretty hungry, but no Wayne Carey, I think, that game as well. So sort of you imagine they were coming out with a different mindset than what you guys would have been doing.
Yeah, and they had an unbelievable belief in themselves as well, and it was a really strong rivalry. But that day in particular, I remember Severio Rocker was doing some special things early. Corey McKernan was going really, really well. And after Hurdy's address, which I touched on at quarter time, I thought when Spider Burton crumbed one off his toes early in the second quarter and kicked the goal, I thought it's not going to be our day today when Big Spider's doing that.
Yeah. That's one of those ones where I actually spoke about it last week, the game we chatted with Limo about the Hawks and Pies game. And Buddy Franklin's goal in that. It's one of those things where the footy gods, you feel like they interject at some point and go, all right, we've already determined who's going to win this one. So I think that's a similar one. Did you think, from your point of view, your performance, 9 goals? That's by today's standards, that's a bag. Were you happy with that in the end? Obviously happy with the win, but from your personal point of view, you're happy with your performance?
Yeah, I think the year 2001 was my greatest season at AFL level. So how old would I be? About 23 years of age. I actually played 21 games and went at 5 goals a game through that season. So 105 goals into it. So I felt really good, strong, quick off the mark, powerful in the air, and in one-on-one contests. So I felt really, really good. But it was one of those days where you had to make the most of your opportunity. So I was pretty proud at the end of it to kick 9 shots and kick 9 goals straight. So that was something, particularly through that second quarter, where we had the momentum, but you still got to finish off your team's work, and that's what I was able to do when I kicked 5 goals in the second quarter. And Jason Johnson, I'll never forget his day that day either. That was probably his greatest individual game at AFL level, and he won the best and fairest that year as well.
Great. Yeah, that's a good point. You mentioned Hurdy's address at quarter time. Now, obviously, here at your call, it's a little bit, we do things a little bit differently. We're not as professional as you guys on the Sunday Footy Show or on 3AW either. So you can give us maybe the non-PG rated version if you like. But what are some of the things, things you're happy to talk about that Hurdy might have mentioned at quarter time? What was the general sort of idea?
Yeah, Hurdy didn't mind an expletive. I'm a swearer myself.
but he's such a clean-cut boy.
Yeah, but he did drop a few F-bombs and that sort of thing. But what he was very good at was he was able to tell us what we were doing poorly. And one of those things was how we were second to the ball consistently second to the ball. So he was able to identify, he's a captain coach in a sense. He was able to identify the things we weren't doing well and tell us. And he didn't tell us 7 or 8 things. He just said, we're continually second to the ball. We're continually giving away free kicks. We've just got to start getting in first. And we were a very tough team. We had so many teams beaten before they'd run down the race in 2000, 2001. And on this particular day, we just North must have thought, oh, geez, they're not as invincible as we all think they are. So he said, let's give them what they're expecting. And that's being effing first to the ball. Let's dump them in tackles and do all those things. So suddenly the Johnsons and the Solomons and the Hardwicks, they got nasty and they allowed us guys down the front end to do what we did in front of goals.
Do you think, in looking back in hindsight, you mentioned, they've looked at you guys and thought, if we're hard and fast and first to the ball, we can, it's the classic, obviously, the folktale is Lee Matthews' quote that, if it bleeds, you can kill them. So do you think in hindsight, teams like Brisbane looked at this game in particular and thought, okay.
Yeah, they actually went on. I think, if it bleeds, you can kill it. Maybe came in the weeks after that, and they were probably coming to the point of where some absolute superstars at a cherry ripe age, and by grand final day, James Hird had a really bad groin, and he couldn't really change directions. Mark Mercuri had a similar issue. So we took Mercuri and Hird in, 2 of our prime movers, when they probably shouldn't have played. Yet Brisbane had won 13 in a row going into that grand final and were right on top of their game. Whereas we played our best footy in the first half of the year. They were playing their best footy in the second half of the year. So that was, they just got us at a bad time. So the 99 prelims, the one that still haunts me more than the 2001 grand final. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, and that was my next question. Where does this game sort of, when you look back on your career, you did it all basically. Let's be honest. Where does this game sit in for you looking back? Because it is the greatest comeback in AFL history. So how do you feel about that?
I actually got sent a Triple M audio of this game, and I remember Gary Lyon at the end of it saying that, and it was great to listen to. And Gary Lyon said, "We are watching possibly the greatest team that has ever played the game," and that sent chills up my spine, and just to think about how we were being viewed at that period of time, where we could just win from anywhere. So, as I said, should have had 2 premierships through that period. We didn't, but it was the greatest home and away game I was ever a part of. I'm happy to say.
Okay. Yeah, great. No, good point. The result was, you guys almost kicking close to 200 points. Will we ever see this kind of result, this kind of game ever again?
I don't believe so. I think we'll see some versions where there's some shootouts, but nothing like this. And there was one-on-ones all over the ground, and I'm not sure if the coaches, there was too many tactics involved. I think the possibility, though, is with what's going on with the coronavirus, we may get back to 1 senior coach and 3 assistants like we had back in 2001. So we weren't overcoached. We were able to just go out and play on instinct. And I lost a lot of my instinct in my last few years of my career because I was overcoached. So we may see things like this possibly because we're going to strip it right back. But if clubs can keep all their coaches, I think that you'll never see it again because teams will drop 7, 8, 9 men back behind the ball just to stifle a run on that a team gets.
So do you think on that, do you think some of the problems with the modern game is that, players are just, there's too many voices, too many sort of cooks in the kitchen, and once they get out there, they're confused about, what to do.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tempos with the game too. So what I mean by that is if a team kicks 2 or 3 goals in a row, they're instructed to hold possession of the ball, slow the game down, chip the ball around. And back in those days, we just kept playing footy. And I've listened to the commentary. It was Hutto and Dougie Hawkins and one of them were doing the commentary of this game. And they kept saying, should Dennis Pagan throw numbers behind the ball? Should he do it? They just kept saying it. But we were on such a roll. And the types of guys like Carosella, underrated player, Paul Barnard was playing well, Gary Moorcroft. We just took all the ascendancy. I think they could have tried anything, and I think we were going to get them this day. We just took the toll. After quarter time, we were a superior team, and I would have loved to have seen them try extra numbers, but I don't think it would have worked.
No. And you did get there in the end. There was a lot of people who probably had money on you guys early on and probably getting a bit nervous, but you obviously, did what you ended up doing and taking it away. It's one of the greatest games. We're looking forward to watching it again and watching that old style game of footy where it's, like you said, you just get on with it. So it's great. Lordo, I'll let you go. It's Good Friday. Oh, we've been joined.
Yeah.
Special guest. Who's this?
This is Jacob, and I'm not sure if anyone's on my Instagram, but I'll see him kicking the ball, marking around. So 2032 draft, I think it is, Dan.
Yeah.
But, you might see that Lloyd read out for the Bombers, hopefully #1 draft pick, without putting too much pressure on him.
No, of course not. No, the future of the Essendon Footy Club is on your lap currently.
Yeah, he is, and absolutely passionate, loves his footy. So
excellent.
I hope he gets to live out his dreams like me one day. And
in the short term, I hope he sees some at some point.
Yeah, exactly. But we've been to wait a long time, haven't we? So this is my daughter too, Jada. So
g'day, Jada. Welcome.
It's been far too long, Dan. So
I know.
15 years. I actually got sent from a Carlton supporter 4,500 days a message the other day stirring me up about how long it's been. So
of course,
with that one win against Fremantle, it might be an important one and could help win a final later on in the year.
Maybe. I mean, you're talking to a Pies man, so it really doesn't bother me, to be honest. Lordo, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's Good Friday, as I mentioned. You've been an absolute champion of the game. You won the Coleman Medal 3 times. You won, obviously, the flag with the Bombers in the year 2000. You're an AFL Hall of Famer, and more importantly, you're a good sport. The Sunday Footy Show, 11 o'clock on Sunday. You're still rolling on? Yeah,
we're rolling on, and it's something we're pretty big on at Channel 9. So, yeah, we'll go as long as we can. So, could be a 40 footy classifieds and 40 Sunday footy shows the way we're going with so many weeks. But, footy classified, 10 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, and, this Sunday, 11 o'clock, the Sunday Footy Show.
Perfect. It's the best footy show on TV. And, of course, when we get up and running again, you're on 3AW Footy as well. So we hope that's very soon. Lordo and the family, the Lloyd clan, thank you very much for joining us.
Great. Thank you. Let's wave and say goodbye.
Bye.
Great.
See you guys.
See ya.
Thanks,
Bye.
Lloyd.